Namaste, Jai Bharat. Spirituality is a concept, and spirituality is a term which is commonly used by most people. But what is it to say that someone, what is it to me, what is it to say that something is spiritual? What is spirituality? Obviously, what is spiritual in that sense of the term, the English word spiritual is not that, is that which is not mundane. But there is no introduction of transcendental into the spirituality in this concept at this stage. Then of course it's a kind of Etherean talk otherwise, but people use the word and the concept. Of course, using word is one thing, using a concept is quite a different thing. People use this concept, spirituality, with their own convenience. This Heidegger and phenomenology, they speak of a subjective world. By and large, they make sense. I won't say they're right, they're correct, but they do make sense. That for each, if you strictly view in that sense, if you strictly see in that perspective, for each subject individual, the world within him may be different from, or shall be different from, the world within another individual, another person. But the question is, like these people, like Heidegger, great people, definitely big minds, are we to focus on the differential subjectivity or the common objectivity which we functionally accept as one and the same? Without this, of course, one will go to one's own ruin. The expression is not mine. It's David Hume who spoke about, I shall go to my ruin, with his skepticism if he applies in his day-to-day life. David, Irish person, Irish philosopher, said long back. So this case can happen to people, but why this? Then again, the practical question: though this has some points, but which is not correct, you can't call it as a right thing or right perspective. You can't call it. But with this, there are some points, valid points. But with such things, you will be disturbed, destroyed. And what do you want in life? Comfort, peaceful, equanimity, tranquility, and peacefulness. Then this kind of things you should understand, you should appreciate, but don't apply. That's the only one thing. So spirituality, of course, is a harmless concept. There must be differences between one person, the other person, and another person. Each one would have his own feeling or understanding of spirituality. Because of spirituality, becomes all the more because there is no objective reference to spirituality. It's only subjective understanding of spirituality. So there will be all kinds of versions and differences. So it's difficult to speak what spirituality is. We can speak about transcendentality, transcendental. So what is transcendental? And transcendentality we can speak of, which of course is to go from the mundane to beyond to a different level. Now, in this context, we can just speak of or think of some universities like Chicago, Amsterdam, etc., where professors, fundamentally, basically philosophy, they have tried to understand what is it to be transcendental in their own manner with their own objectives, especially when they were trying to define religion. And in that series, it's Aguirre, Cassian Aguirre, who I think defines, he defines in that religious critique of culture, that is his book. He defines religion as the fundamental intentionality of human consciousness towards the sacred. Of course, he presupposes a sacred, but in the Bharatiya knowledge tradition, there may not be a sacred as he presupposes. But then, what remains in is a fundamental intentionality. He uses that concept of intentionality. We would like to use the concept of longing. There's an inbuilt longing towards something which is beyond, We don't want to frame it, we don't want to name it, we don't want to spell it out, because you can't spell it out. Borrowing it from Shankaracharya, it gets beyond all kinds of qualitative expressions and all kinds of qualitative narratives. So let it remain. Shankaracharya says not this, ne iti. So that seems to be safe and most appropriate way of looking at it. So there is a longing towards something which is beyond me. Let's start with that. Something which is not mundane, something which is beyond me. So this longing's expression gets into, you call it the spirituality. Definitely, there's one more thing. In spirituality, deities don't have any role. God do not have any role. At the most, the concept of God, gods, deities, etc., could be instrumental towards spirituality. So, spirituality, in other words, is a great longing towards understanding something which is beyond you. You may call it as energy, power, whatever is subjectively right to you. Only thing, don't make it objective. You can't make it objective. It will be anachronistic to make it objective. It will be a mistake to make it objective. Category mistake to make it objective. What is subjective, you should remain there as right and right for you. So that longing towards something which you are unable to spell out because of your own finiteness in your mind. The question, this again I borrow from Buddha, when he was talking to his students, finiteness in your mind. So your mind is finite, and if there is a transcendentality or transcendentality, if there is something, if there is transcendental, then that has to be necessarily infinite. And when something has to be necessarily infinite, and with your finite mind which is necessarily finite, how can you comprehend something which is necessarily infinite with something which is necessarily finite? It immediately creates a contradiction, a very, very strong contradiction. You can't understand it, that's because you are not equipped to understand. So let's view spirituality as one feels like, as it appeals to you. That shall be more appropriate. And we shall meet again with some other thoughts in some other time. Till then, namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.